All right, y'all. I just want to do a video talking about music gear, being a musician, owning things like this, the MPC-1. Right now, I have this and I'm on a payment plan with this, but I don't know if I want to keep this thing. This is a very weird and strange synthesizer. The Roland Phantom 06. I have this. I got the Boss RC505 loop station. This has good compressors, chorus, and lo-fi. Those are the three effects I usually use for this when I do make beats on here. And then I got the Roland JDXI in the box right now, and I got the Korg Electribe 2 in this box. But what I want to talk about here with everyone, I don't know if anybody owns these or anyone has these, but I want to explain the pros and cons of each one of these and where I am at in my music production journey. And I will admit it on camera right now. I am not in a fun place of making music right now because of what I'm trying to do, how I'm trying to get my setup to be. Now, I'll start with this. The Roland Phantom 06. This is a keyboard. The sounds that are good on this thing, they are really good. Some of the strings, some of the bells, some of the, you know, the pianos are decent. The bells and some of the sequencer sounds, the choir sounds, some of the wind sounds. But the synth sounds are a hit or miss. They're the ones that are good, but there's more that I wouldn't prefer to use than to use. And this has something with saving that I don't like. I just did a video on that. I'm not going to get into that though. This, I don't like how you have to save scenes and tones on this thing. This is where they dropped the ball on this. And then on here, they got reverb and chorus. Where's the delay? Why couldn't they have put delay and compression on the front here? And then there's attack and release. Well, what about the decay and the sustain? You see, you can't do that on the front. They should have put all those. Look, 4 buttons. They could have put 4 buttons here easily and put these 2 buttons down here a little bit and squaz them together. They don't have to be, they could have been squazzed together here. I'd have been perfectly fine with that. But why I'm doing this video is because where I am at right now in my music production journey, I am in an apartment where the walls are paper thin and I live right next to a highway. I can pump out beats and instrumentals all day long, but I want to start making songs, and I do all kinds of stuff. I do orchestral, I do cinematic stuff, I do anything you can possibly think of. I do it all. I do all music. The only thing I don't think I do is like country stuff, if I'm being honest. I mean, I could do that if I wanted, but it's just not me. But anyway, this thing, the MPC-1, this thing, I don't know if you can hear this, but that's just a little pattern I got going. But this is incredible. This is incredible. But the thing with this is I am not impressed with the quality of the sounds. The quality of the sounds is not like something like this or this. The Roland JDXI. This thing sounds amazing. And this thing sounds amazing. And let me tell you something. I'm going to be so bold as to say the Roland JDXI, it, for a $500 synth, it might sound better than this, if I'm being honest. But this, the reason this sounds better, I'll say that this does, is because it has more layers of tones and it makes the sounds fuller, if that makes sense. But if the sounds from the JDXI were on here, or this, no, let me say this. If this had how that was set up, now the drums on the Roland JDXI, when you go on the JDXI, there's a kick, another kick, a clap, a stick sound, hi-hat, closed hat, open hat, and then they got the snares here. And then it's like the shaker and the cymbals, you know, are over this way or here in this area. But on here, they only implemented a kick, stick, clap, snare, tom. Like these toms are here, and then they got the hi-hats here, and then they got the shakers and stuff. They got a shaker here, or like here, and then a shaker here and here. It's like all over the place. I don't understand. If they would have just simply implemented the Roland JDXI into this, and they would have made saving better, this thing would not have been bad. This would have been a pretty decent piece of gear. But it's just, they dropped the ball in certain areas with this. This is for vocals. You record vocals into here. This does not come with any sounds. This just comes with, I mean, it comes with these, you know, these bullcrap patterns they give you to use, but they're horrible. It's just like a shaker, Kabasa shaker or whatever, and like drums. It's not good. This is just a sound effects and recording vocals and recording stuff into, and it can be used as an audio interface. But this is really not why I made this video. I made this video because where I'm at right now in my music journey is, here is what I have discovered over 22 years of making music with things like this. When I have less, when I was just using that when I got it, and I didn't have any of this stuff, because it took me 6 years. It took me 6 years to get this, those, the microphone I have. It took me 6 years to get this stuff because it's expensive, you know? But the thing I've learned is, the more that I have, it's almost, it isn't that I'm always less creative, but the more that I have, it's you don't put as much into it as you would when you have less. And this, I bought an SD card, like a 256 gigabyte SD card for this, that has a ton of drum expansions and other expansions, and it's just way too much. I mean, there's no way that I'm ever going to, I mean, I went through most of them. I, listened to when you go on the browse and you go in and you play the thing. And now don't get me wrong. Drums That Knock, his expansions are really good. There are expansions on here. Lockdown Grid, this is really good. Some of these machine ones are really good. These new skill ones, Premier Beats. There are good ones. There are really good. This is a really good one. Underground Trap. This is a really, really, really good one here. I use this on a lot of stuff, especially this one. One of these I use a lot. It got like a clap and a kick and some kind of sound effects that I really like with this. But here's my dilemma though. Every one of these things has an ultimate pro and con that I can't live with. And it's yes, I still make music. Don't get me wrong. I make music on this all the time. And I make music on this all the time. I just haven't been recording a lot of I haven't been putting it out for people to hear, but I've been doing stuff on this. I got almost all the spots filled. I'm using presets on here to record the beats that I make, or the cinematic or whatever I do on here. I'm using the not the user banks because they're full already, and I had this for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, and I'm using the presets on here, and there's a lot on here. But my dilemma is, this thing is great. If the sounds were there for me, if the sounds were pleasing to my ear dynamically, I'm not saying that there aren't some drum kits on here that I'm content with. I'm not saying that there aren't sounds on here that I'm content with, but overall, you have to kind of dig deep to find the drum kits and the sounds that are dynamically there, if that makes sense. Because I know the MPC 2000 and the SP 1200, that sounds the best to my ears. The MPC 2000 that came out in 97, and the SP 1200, and the Rossum, I don't know if that's an SP 1200, but those sound the best to my ear. But the thing that it is lacking is the sound quality is just not to its potential. And because what I want to take this. I got my speaker coming out here. I got my microphone plugged right into it. And I can put a keyboard into the USB. I can put this keyboard right here, the Akai MPK Mini. I can put that right into here. And I can put my keyboard on, and I can use that as a MIDI keyboard. So this is the whole studio. Right here is a whole studio. It's taken care of. The microphone, the speaker, the unit to make beats and sequences, and the MIDI keyboard that I can hook into the back of this. But the thing is, and this is when I was months ago, about 5 months ago, I was deciding, should I get the new plugins for this? But at the time they were $500, and I didn't have $500, and I couldn't make payment plans. So that's why I ended up going with this. And yes, this is expensive, and I had no business really getting this. And I can, if I'm being honest, if anybody is really into my channel, or you would like to make any kind of donations to help me out, because I can't even keep up paying with this. That's why I might have to take it back, because I'm not going to be able I might not be able to keep making payments. I mean, I'm not on here begging for money or anything. I'm just saying, if anybody is willing to donate anything because you've been on my channel for a while and you want to help me out as an individual, that's all I'm saying. But you ain't got to give me nothing. I'm just saying. And I shouldn't even have said that in the video. Just cut that I even said that. But yeah, this the sound quality is right on here. The sound quality is right on here. The hardware sound quality, it sounds, it's good enough. It's good enough for my ears. But software stuff that goes into hardware, like the MPC one, I don't know how their new plugins are. Getting back to what I was saying, I wanted to get those, but they were $500. Now they are, I don't know how much exactly. They're like $300. They're a lot less. They have the orchestral, the strings, the OPX or OP4, uh, a couple mini D. They got a couple new things for this that I wanted to get. That's what I wanted to do. That's the route that I wanted to go. And that's what I should have done. But then again, I'm not content with the sound. That is the thing that is with this unit is it doesn't fulfill me in that way. It does everything else. And I'm not saying that I don't have music on here that I like the sound of and it sounds good and it is good enough, but it's not all the time. It's like a hit or miss on this. And that is the one thing with this is the plugins, the instrument plugins, the synth plugins and stuff are lacking on this. But besides that, this got everything taken care of. If I could put one of my synthesizers and record into this, that's not a problem. But what I mean is I'm getting back to the less is more approach because it's the only thing that works for me to my potential. That's when make I don't want to say the best that I make. I get into it deep. I discover things that I would not discover just having everything. And these are only, out of all these drum kits, these are only a select number of them that I got. I even got more than this. And it's just way too many, It's too much. There's about 30, 40 drum kits in each one of these. So, these are the ones I have loaded on here right now. Okay, now this unit, if the Roland JDXI, if they would have came out with a Roland JDXI 2 and they would have put no quantize, more measures, more sounds, maybe a little bit bigger, and they would have put like it got everything. This unit, the Roland JDXI, is one of the most fun, original. Anyone that has one will tell you this. This thing is amazing. Listen, I do not regret the $500 I spent on this back in 2017. I had this thing for 6 years, and even though it's in the box, that's because I'm experimenting with this and this today. But just because I have this in the box, I'm going to use this again. It's going to come out of the box again. Trust me. It's just everything is on the front. The reverb, when you go on that, the reverb and the delay are on the top right, and all the effects are on the top right. The LFO and filters are all here. There's a little button that controls like the attack, sustain, and decay, like attack, sustain, decay, release. But it's one knob, but it gets it done. It gets it done. It gets the sound to where it's good enough. And then there is the sounds where there's a knob that's really hard to turn, but I don't care. And here's the thing. It limits you. It limits you because on here, like you can see, there are 4 parts. There is a digital synth 1, digital synth 2, the drums, which is 1 track. That's your 3rd track. And then your 4th track is an analog synth. Now, if they would have given us another one of these, a part 2, that was like, say it was just $800, $900, and it had a lot more sounds, it had a lot more analog synth sounds, but it gave you 2 analogs, 2 drums, and 3 synth sounds, 3 digital synth sounds. Say it had 6 tracks or 8 tracks. If it would have had 6 tracks, This thing has 4 tracks, and I have made extraordinary music. I mean, I have made stuff on this that I cannot believe that I did with just 4 tracks. Now, the drums, it's kind of cheating. It is 1 track, but you have the kick, stick, clap. You know what I'm saying? You get to use about 20 some drum sounds on the drum part. All right, drinking some coffee here. But what I'm saying is, if this would have been implemented, which I know it's not the same, if this would have been implemented in with this with the drums, like the 808 drum kit, 909, CR78, Latino, EDM, all those kinds of kits, the sound effects kits, if it would have been implemented, if they would have did that, the kick, snare, open hat, closed hat, hi-hat are here, closed hat, whatever it is, open hat, clap, and then here would be like the shaker or the tambourine or whatever. Then here would be the cymbals, like the stuff like that. And it's just when I had this, I was making some of the best music I ever made. And when I was on this, I was making some decent stuff. But this, the sounds on there are, how can I say this? There are some good drum sounds. There are some good percussions. There are some decent sounds, but they only give you 1 string on the Korg Elect Tribe. You get 1 string. You get 1 of a couple things. It ain't like you get 10 strings to choose from and they're decent. You get 1 of them. So, and I even made beats on here where I had made about 40, 50 beats, and I was going to take it back, and I erased them. And those beats were amazing because I was taking days to make them. I was putting everything into it, and only if you could hear what I made, you would know what I mean. I made some incredible stuff on this, even with the sounds being mediocre. I'd say they're mediocre sounds. It has all the 808s, the 909s. The Roland JDXI has all the good drum kits. You're good with drums. You don't need any drums. The only thing that this is lacking is the sounds, and the fullness of the sounds is how many layers are in the sounds, and not being able to turn the quantize off or have more than 4 measures. If it would have 8 to 16 measures, it would be way better. If you could turn the quantize off, it'd be way better. If you could have 1/24 scale, instead of having to say that your tempo is going, you'd have to go, you'd have to tap it twice as fast to do off beats, like you'd have to go, you'd have to do it twice as fast, so you only get 2 measures. See, that's the problem with this. They only give you 4 measures. If they would have did that alone, going into the menu, don't let people, see, this is lazy. Don't let people make you lazy. Yeah, you got to go into the menu to get sophisticated with this, like to get deeper into the sounds and stuff, but it's not, even though the screen is really small. Look, the screen is only this big. It's a little tiny screen, but don't let that fool you. I mean, yeah, the screen is small, but I'm telling you, almost knocked my table over here. That's not good. when you're on this thing, the workflow is incredible. It is something that is just different. And that's what I'm going back to. That's what I'm saying. I'm getting back to the basics. I'm getting back to less is more. But see, as I'm saying less is more, this, if the Roland JDXi, they would have came out with a second one and they would have added, just say, 1,000 sounds. Just say there was 1,000, out of those 1,000 sounds, that half of them were decent, usable sounds. You could go so far with this thing. I know, because there's only 168 or 69 sounds, I believe, altogether, and not including the drum kits. The drum kits, there are the drums, there are 789 or 84. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. It's no. I'm wrong. It's 400. I think it's 489 sounds, something like that. It's almost 500 sounds on this, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't been on here for a while, but it's around 500 sounds. But the sounds are sounds that you're going to use. The drum kits are the drum kits you're going to use. It's just, if they would have made another one with more sounds, and it's in one unit, is what I'm saying. See, here's what I'm getting at. This has everything in one unit. This has the whole package. But the dynamics of the sounds themselves do not satisfy me like the sounds on this or on this. So do you see my dilemma here? And then when I use this, if I add this, which is extra, and then if I have to add the keyboard, it's too much stuff. I mean, I could do it. I could do it if I had the space, and I do have the space, but I'm saying the effects on here make this sound really good. When I use certain kits on here and I use the lo-fi, the chorus, and the compressors, this sounds really, really, really good. And it does sound good enough for me, but I don't want to have to use this. I don't want to have to use an extra effects unit. I don't want to have to use help like with something like this. This has everything, yet there are some things on here that there are cons that I don't know if I can work around, like the saving. All that it is, this on here, this is what I wanted to show you. This on here, all you have to do is press Shift Enter, and it'll say, would you like to write the pattern? Yes. And you save the pattern. It's that easy. Everything's saved. The drums, the synthesizer sounds, it's all saved. On this thing, I don't know what Roland was thinking. That's why I did the video. You have to go to Scene. But before you do that, if you make a melody, like just say you make whatever, I'm just messing around, but you change the filter and you change the resonance and you go to the effects and you apply effects and all that, what you have to do, you have to press tone for the track. You have 16 tracks. Say you have a bass sound and you did all that. You put effects and stuff on it and you put all the little things, the attack, the release, the EQ and all that. You have to press tone, save tone, and then you have to save that one track onto an empty initial space. Or you have to save it somewhere where there's nothing, where it's an empty thing. And it doesn't make sense, because yes, even though they give you a lot of space to save stuff, it doesn't make sense. You got to save the tone, which is the sound, the track. And then when you're done doing that, you have to press Scene. and save the scene. If you switch it, it's going to erase it all. And if you don't save the tones, then when you say, if you save the scene, yes, your pattern, your boom 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 sh doo 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 sh doo 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 sh doo doo doo, that will be saved. But your filter, your sound effects, your resonance, your low pass filter, high pass, but whatever you got, whatever changes you made, it will not be saved. It'll erase it all. So this is why I haven't even been messing with the tones like that. I'll just press scene and save the scene, and I won't even really mess with, right now I haven't even been messing with the filters or anything too much. I just been letting the sounds, how the sounds are, and it's not been too bad. It's not been too bad, but see, me, I like getting into it. I like getting deep into my production. I mean, because I know what I'm going for. I know what sound I'm looking for out of these tools, and I can get there. If I can get a sound that I like, I can make it sound really good because I will do it. I will take the time and effort to make it sound how I want. But this, just the saving process, is a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. And when I was using these, when I was using the Korg and this, I can't explain it. I had way less, way less. And you can only get on the Korg, you can only use 4 measures too. But you can, if you have a slow tempo, you can have 8 measures if it's really slow. But in that limitation, the limitation is creation. The limitation is what makes creation. You see what I'm saying? The limitation is what makes the creation, in my honest view, because I know this. I've been making music for 22 years, so I know what I mean when I'm talking about this stuff. But what I'm getting at in this, because I have about 12 more minutes before the gigabytes cut out. But this thing is, it's really frustrating because this has everything that I need. This is a studio in a box. I can do everything on this, but I'm just not delighted with the sound quality of the plugins that come with this. And I know that I can get these, this is a really good one, this Labyrinth by Snipe Young. The Soul Providers are good, uh Certified Gold is good, Crate Cuts is good. There's things on here, the Lockdown Grid, like I just said, and there are ones that you can get that do have synthesizer sounds that sound good, don't get me wrong. But I want to have everything on one unit, and I want to be content with the sound. You see what I'm saying? And the only thing that comes close to that is the Roland JDXI. That is the only thing that comes close to what I'm looking for. But with this, I can't make sequences and save as much as here because it's already full. I'd have to take the patterns and transfer them into the computer. And I never even messed with that because I don't want to lose the patterns on here. So I'm hesitating on saving them and then erasing them and putting it back in here. I don't know if it's going to save. So that's why I haven't been, if I had more spots on here to save, I would be using this right now. But this, I can save whatever. I have a ton of space. I have a 256 and a 512 gigabyte card that I can save. So I can make music on this all day. But what I mean is I'm forcing myself. I am forcing myself to either use this and look for really quality sounds that I like on this thing and just use this, This I'm going to use if I keep, but I don't know if I'm going to keep this. I really don't know if I'm going to keep this. I hate to let it go because, yes, it does have some really great sounds on it, but I don't know if I can keep this because everything that's on here, I already have on that. The JDXI. I already have all the 808 kits. I already have all those drum kits on that. And those drum kits are set up how I like it. This, they do not set it up on here how I like it. So that's why I'm at odds with that too. There's a couple things I'm at odds with on this. This would just be to get quality sounds out of. That's what this would be used for. I can make patterns, and I have made patterns, and I'm making music on this. And this is better for orchestral, movie, cinema stuff. That's what I make on here a lot too. And this I will be using for to help me with the sound effects, because the compressors and the chorus and the lo-fi and the reverb on here is really good, and that helps with this and it helps with this. But see, I don't want to be using all of these like together. I want to be using one thing, because if I have too many things, I can't focus on one thing. And that's why I have to make up my mind here what I'm going to do, because I can't have a whole bunch of stuff around me. It's the way that I am. I don't know if I'm autistic. I don't know if I'm compulsive or obsessive or whatever. But if I just had this with a MIDI keyboard hooked up, I got my microphone, or I can put this, I can use the microphone from this right here. I can use this microphone, and I can use that to record into here. And all I need is a MIDI keyboard, and I got all the sounds on here already. So this is more than likely the route that I'm going to go. But yet again, this is what is so frustrating. And I know there's other musicians out there that say the same exact thing. Hardware just sounds better. It's a sound that can't be emulated. It just can't be emulated. I hear very few. There are some software sounds that do sound very similar to hardware, and I even watched videos where I guessed wrong on one thing. Out of like 6 sounds, there was one sound that I said, wow, that sounds really good, and it was software. But all the other ones, I knew what was hardware because I have an ear for it that much. I know when I'm hearing hardware. Now, I know people might think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I have an ear for this stuff. I know. I've been doing this for so long. I owned so much equipment. I mean, I own probably, I don't know, 8 different pieces of gear, throughout the years, and I've dug deep into them. I've dug very deep into them when I had them, and I know what I want. It's just the only thing right now is for this thing is finding the synthesizer and orchestral sounds that I can use for this, but I don't know if I can see that happening. I might have to use these synthesizers to get that, but I don't want to have to hook this into there and then have this going into this and recording into the computer and all that. I don't want to do all that. That's what I don't want to do. I want to record my music into this. This is more than enough to make great music. More than enough. And this is more than enough to make great music. Don't get me wrong, but the workflow on this, making patterns, well, quote, scenes. I don't know why. Why would you do this, Roland? Why would you change from pattern to scene and tones? You should have just left it tone and patterns. And when you save the patterns, you save the tone. Roland. So anyway, but yeah, this is easy recording the scenes and the patterns. It's easy. It's intuitive. It's a good workflow. But when it comes to the saving part and it comes to going through, there's so many sounds. It's too much. There's like almost 3,000 sounds. Sifting through all those sounds, you got the wheel here and you're going through them. Then you got to play. And then you got to do this. And then you got to touch it and play and see what you're doing. And you're just going through sound after sound after sound. See, when you're limited to some sounds, you won't be doing that. You will hear one that you go, okay, that will work, and then you make that work. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I did with and I have this too that I got a lot of beats on right here. I even made nice beats on this thing, the Akai XR20. This thing, the only thing I did, I took care of this. All these bubbles and stuff, I couldn't help. That's just from the wear and tear of it. I take care of my equipment. Now, this is a little dusty and stuff because I had it in this drawer so long, but I dropped it and I hit this volume button and I broke it. I only dropped this one time since I had it and it broke. One time I dropped it and it broke. So I would still be using this. And I even got 100 beats on this thing. But yeah, and then I got this thing I can use, an 8-track Boss. This has really good sound effects too, but it's broke too. So yeah, man, it's just, I wanted to just do a video like that telling y'all out there, if you're any creators, now I'm going to speak for a couple minutes for this cuts off. If you are someone that is getting into music, this is what I would say for any person that has it in them, like they know without a doubt that they love music so much, or they love sound so much, or they love making music or experimenting with it. Here is what I would do, and this is the only thing I would do. I would look into starting off with one really nice keyboard, synth, orchestral drum machine workstation. Like, now I know this is an expensive, but something like a MPC Key 61, something like, if you want to start off small, I would definitely recommend the Roland JD-Xi, but you have to dig deep though into these things. It ain't just going to make you something. You have to be willing to dig. You have to be willing to create something. You got to be willing to put time into it. The sounds aren't just going to be like, oh my gosh, that is the best sound I've ever heard in the world. Don't get me wrong. The Jupiter strings, some of the sounds on there are really good, but you still have to tweak them and do what you do with them. Only you know what to do. Or if you're someone that doesn't mind software sounds, and you don't, and you can ease up on the quality, or you don't make a big deal out of the quality of the sound so much, this is the way to go. And if you're a keyboard player, you can get a MIDI keyboard to USB right into here on the back. It's easy. You can put a USB MIDI keyboard and you can use the keys for your synths and your orchestral and whatever, your percussion, drums, whatever you want to use. And you have inputs, outputs, you have inputs to put a microphone into. You can record vocals into this. I would start off with something that is, quote, professional gear. I don't like the word professional because you make music how you make music. I see it as you're either putting your whole self into it or you're not. But yeah, or start off with something like this, but I can't recommend this right now. I can't recommend the Phantom to anybody. I just can't do it. But it's still a great keyboard, but it has cons that I am having trouble working with. If you're someone that is a loop master or a beatboxer, then this would be good. If you're looking for extra effects, yeah, this is good, but I wouldn't recommend this either because they have a second one, and this does not come with sounds. This is just to put the sounds into or use with a mic or auxiliary. And you can use this for a bunch of things, though. That's why this is helpful. All right, I only got about 30 seconds. So, but what I would recommend is getting something like the Roland JDXI, or get a nice keyboard workstation to start out with and use that. Dig deep into that thing. Don't say, oh, I need to get a DAW and I need to get a sound effects unit and I need to get this synthesizer and I need to get this and that. No, get one thing and focus on that. And I'm telling you, you will be way more creative. Less is more.